Welcome back to our How to Read Music YouTube videos. Today we are working with violins, and violins will always have a treble clef, which is this right here, at the beginning of their music. So if you remember from our first video, the music staff has 5 lines, and like I just mentioned, you're always going to have a treble clef right at the beginning. Now the treble clef is also called the G clef, because this little guy at the bottom here is always going to circle where G is. G is this line. You can see that this line lines up with what the treble clef is circling. Now, what comes in our musical alphabet after G will be the note in this space, because remember, like our musical ladder or staircase, the notes keep going up in order. So in our musical alphabet we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then we go back to A. Now this line would be the note after A. What note comes after A? Well, you know your alphabets very well. Of course, it's B. Now, you may have heard of every good boy does fine. That's the way that you can remember the lines, because like we said, this line's going to be G, so this one will be E, B, D, and F all the way up here on this line. Now we need to figure out the space notes. What note comes between E and G? Right here. Think A, B, C, D, E, F. So we have F. Alright, we already talked about this note, but let's remind ourselves, what do we go to after G in the musical alphabet? A. Now we need to figure out this note in this space. What comes between B and D? A, B, C. Good. And then the last space comes between D and F. A, B, C, D, E. Notice the spaces spell face. F, A, C, E. Space spells face. Now you have a little key over there on the right. We're going to test some notes here. So, what note would this be? Well, first of all, is it in a line or a space? It's between 2 lines, so it's a space note. We know space spells face, so we want to look right here. We'll trace it over and see that is C. How about this note? Now this should be an easy one because of the clef at the beginning. But maybe you forgot and you have to count from the bottom. Every good boy does fine. So this is every good. Trace it and check it out. That is G. How about this note? Once again, line or space note. This is a space note because it's between 2 lines. Space spells face. Let's track over and see which one it is. It is A. Alright, I'm going to do a few without walking you through it now, and I want you to say what the name of the note is out loud. Here's one. If you said F, you are correct. Here's another. If you said G, you're right. There's another note. If you said it was E, good for you, you're right. How about that note? If you said it was F, good. There's a note for you. If you said it's E, you're correct. Alright, now let's make this a little harder. We're going to take all of these out and see if you can remember. So, first note. Let's go right here. Is it a line or a space note? If you said it's a space note, good, you're correct. And what do the spaces spell? Space spells face. This is in our bottom space, so we know that it must be the F of face, because F, A, C, E. Space spells face. So we know this note is F. Alright, how about this note? Is it a space note or a line note? If you said it's a line note, good, you're correct. And how do we remember our lines? Every good boy deserves fudge. Every good boy deserves. Look, it's D. It's on the same line as D. Alright. Now I'm going to test you on a few. Tell me what this note is. If you said it's E, you're correct. Tell me what this note is. If you said B, that is correct. How about this note? If you said this was A, very good, you're correct. What is this note? If you said G, you are correct. How about this note at the very top? If you said F, you're correct. So, to review, at the beginning of every piece of violin music, you're going to find one of these, which is a treble clef. The other name for treble clef is the G clef, because it outlines G with its circle here. The line notes, so the notes that are on the lines, we remember with every good boy does fine. Some people say every good boy deserves fudge. There's a bunch of different sayings, but this is the one that I grew up knowing. And then the space notes. How do we remember our space notes? Easy. Space spells, what word was it? Face. And that's starting at the bottom up. The bottom is F, then A, then C, then E at the top.